From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story this evening, the Tanana teen accused of shooting and killing 2 Alaska State Troopers late last week was arraigned in Fairbanks District Court over the weekend.
19-year-old Nathaniel Satch Kangas is charged with 2 counts of murder and will be facing up to 200 years in jail. The courtroom was packed with different law enforcement officials as well as friends and family of the deceased troopers, Sergeant Scott Johnson and Trooper Gabe Rich. As Kangas was led into the courtroom, crying could be heard from the people in attendance. District Attorney Joe Dallaire asked the judge for the maximum amount of bail, adding up to $4 million. Court documents say Kangas shot the troopers with 7 rounds during a struggle with his father in the entryway of their home.
Mr. Kangas? Yes. Bail is the amount of money that you'd be required to pay in order to be released from jail. On that point alone, did you want to say anything?
Sorry.
It's estimated that several thousand people were lining airport ways Saturday to pay their respects as the 2 troopers killed in the line of duty were returned to Fairbanks. Approximately 200 police, fire, and family member vehicles were involved in the drive to escort the hearse from Fairbanks International Airport to the funeral home on University Avenue. Young and old lined the streets, some with signs, others with Alaska or American flags.
Many members of the community also have been touched by the 2 troopers who were brought home yesterday. We spoke to a former member of the Alaska State Troopers about his time with one of the men and the impact the loss has had on our community. Those who knew Trooper Gabe Rich and Scott Johnson say the men were not only good at their job, but loved by many. Former State Trooper Detective Jim McCann says he knew Scott Johnson from his rookie days, and even then he made a lasting impression.
When someone came on to the troopers and came to our detachment as a rookie, I looked at them pretty closely, and I could tell whether they'd turn out to be a good trooper or not. There were good troopers and there were also Rands. And Scotty was one of those guys that I knew right from the get-go he was going to be a good trooper. And he was. I referred to him as a little dynamo from Tok. And he was a little dynamo.
Thousands lined the streets to pay their respect to the 2 Alaska State Troopers this weekend. And McCann says it's important to remember another community is feeling the loss as well.
People on Facebook and in conversations are talking about how Fairbanks has turned out on behalf of their troopers. Well, so did the people in Anchorage. And I know for a fact that if these 2 fine men had been part of a procession up and down the Tanana and Yukon rivers, the people of those villages would have been out there just as much as any place else. Finally, as time will heal all wounds, it's the family members whose lives will never be the same after May 1st, 2014. After a certain time, we're going to get back to normalcy again. The funeral will be over, no more processions. Talk about these 2 fine men will fade, and we'll go back to our lives. But the families never do, and we need to take care of them. They need to keep in mind that as things subside, they're going to see a hat hanging on a hook. Well, that belonged to Scott. A pair of boots over in a corner. Well, those belong to Gabe. This is Stephanie Woodard reporting.
Alaska State Troopers have announced a memorial will be held this Saturday at the Carlson Center for both Sergeant Scott Johnson and Trooper Gabe Rich. The service will be at 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you, Steph. When we come back, the University of Alaska has been certified to use aerial drones.
Also, we're seeing record levels of pollen in the interior. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. 3 motorcyclists were killed Saturday night on the Glen Highway north of Anchorage when they collided with a pickup truck. They were identified as 53-year-old James Carlisle and his wife, 48-year-old Sabrina Carlisle, both of Wasilla, and 63-year-old Elaine Lowe of Anchorage. Lowe's husband was the fourth rider. Troopers say he wasn't injured, but was taken to a hospital as a precaution. Despain says the husband was taken to a hospital as a precaution, but wasn't injured. Troopers say the crash occurred when a Ford F-250 stopped to make a turn and was rear-ended by a Chevrolet van and pushed into the oncoming lane. All four oncoming motorcyclists then collided with the truck.
The Federal Aviation Administration will start gathering unmanned aircraft data from their test site in Fairbanks. The call sign for this drone was Scout 8, 5-inch, and it's the first UAV to fly at any of the FAA testing locations. The Pan-Pacific Test Range Complex is managed by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. The university can now use drones for their own research projects, and they will share important flight data with the FAA, which is working to integrate unmanned aircraft into national airspace. FAA Administrator Michael Huerta announced the authorization today in Anchorage. Officials with UAF say today was a significant day in the development of these useful machines.
Everybody at UAF is excited to have the first official flight from an FAA test site. The first recognized commercial flight at this test center is a big deal, and it really is setting the stage for the opening up of airspace for unmanned aircraft.
You could go to Fred Meyer and buy the $399 system and go to a park and go fly it, all right? But we're flying in a very professional capacity with very high-end systems that are very, very capable systems. And we're doing it right now. We're doing it inside of Fairbanks.
The city of North Pole will hold a public hearing Tuesday about water service to the community. Testimony will be taken on the idea of providing piped water to properties affected by sulfurine contamination from the Flint Hills refinery. The North Pole City Council took positions on a number of issues related to the contamination. One is that the city public water system should be expanded to all properties that are in the sulfurine plume. People wanting to testify will have 5 minutes each. The hearing will be held at North Pole City Hall starting at 6 p.m.
The 46th Annual Military Appreciation Banquet drew hundreds of military personnel and guests Friday night, including the Major General responsible for the Army budget. The Chamber of Commerce event is to honor the military personnel from Interior Alaska who have been awarded for their excellence, leadership, and commitment in service. The banquet began over 40 years ago when Jim and Rosemary Messer began having dinner parties in their home for their friends in the military. Many Fairbanksans followed the lead, and for 6 years, the dinner in the home format grew and prospered. It was finally moved to a large venue to bring everyone together. This year's speaker was the Major General in charge of the ever-changing Army budget.
Budgets have been coming down, and so what we're having to do is develop some innovative plans for how we can restructure ourselves to do make the right decisions so that we can retain our readiness that the nation is asking us to train for and to be prepared for, but at the same time make sure that we're training and living within our means.
Over the weekend, trees around the Fairbanks area started showing buds at the end of their branches. The process is called green up. Usually this heralds the beginning of spring, but unfortunately this year's green up has come with a massive amount of pollen that is accumulating in yellow piles. But most importantly, it's giving those allergies a lot of grief. Authorities at the Tanana Valley Clinic say this year's amount of pollen is approaching record high readings.
Well, hopefully with this rain it'll decrease fairly rapidly, and it'll be much less severe for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and after a couple of good rains it'll be gone. And try to defer those outdoor activities for just a couple of days, and then hopefully the worst will be over.
State Division of Forestry officials held a pack test run Saturday morning for reserve firefighters in Alaska. The test is to determine if returning firefighters can handle the minimum carry load required to do the job when a major forest fire occurs. Several people who have worked as firefighters in the past showed up Saturday. Now, to pass the test, they had to complete a 3-mile walk in under 45 minutes with a weighted backpack. Those who pass the test are put into a reserve list so they can be called to go help with a fire.
And some of these folks can be hired as emergency firefighters. And then when we get large fires, we'll order crews, which are 20-person crews, and they respond to the fires and help us out with suppression activities such as putting in hotline or mopping up, which is just securing the fire's edge and putting it out basically.
All right, so Joe Cook tells us in sports the Ice Dogs are in the Robertson Cup Championship Series this weekend.
All right, see how they won their semifinal and who they will be hosting, plus results from a loaded weekend of high school sports.
Joe Cook is coming up next.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the Sports Seat for you this evening for the weekend recap. The top team in the NAHL got their first sweep of the postseason over the weekend, and it came in the Robertson Cup semifinals. It looked like it would be another grind fest with the Michigan Warriors. As the first period went scoreless, Trevor Gorsuch making saves along with Kevin Aldridge, but Lonnie Clary was at the right place at the right time for a rebound shot on a Fairbanks power play that gave the Ice Dogs a 1-0 lead with 1:47 left in the second period, giving the Ice Dogs a 1-0 lead. Then the Ice Dogs went into clutch mode. Colton Walter got in transition and rushed towards the net before finding Brett Gervais with a sweet pass, and Gervais' hustle, it would pay off. He scores with 4 seconds left in the second period, giving the Ice Dogs a 2-0 lead. Going into the third period, it was all about the Fairbanks defense and Kevin Aldridge from there. The Ice Dogs held the Warriors to single-digit shots on goal in each period, while Aldridge made 21 saves. Taylor Munson, he put the nail in the coffin with the empty net goal with 1:35 left in the game. The Ice Dogs shut out the Michigan Warriors 3-rip. Aldridge gets his third shutout of the playoffs, and Fairbanks sweeps the Warriors 2-0 in the best-of-3 series. Lonnie Clary perfectly sums up the feeling of going to the championship series.
It's surreal. Nothing describes it. This is probably the best feeling I've ever had playing as a hockey player. It's the best moment I've ever had in my life.
I think it's huge. It's great for our confidence, and it was great in terms of how we rebounded after last night's win to come back and be able to duplicate and exceed our effort last night. We're just excited. We get one more week together as a group. The guys are excited, and since we're here together as a group, let's try to win 2 more games and call ourselves national champions.
And today we know who the Ice Dogs will be playing and hosting for the 2014 Robertson Cup. Number 3 seed Austin Bruins defeated the number 2 seed Topeka Roadrunners 4-3 in overtime on Sunday for their Robbie Cup berth. This should make for a great 3-game championship series. Both teams split their 4 meetings this year, and 3 games were decided by 1 goal. Austin, the Central Division champions, won on October 25th and December 31st, 2-1 and 4-3. Fairbanks swept the Bruins at home, showing no love on February 14th and 15th, winning 5-4 and 4-1. Now let's get to the results for some of the high school games from over the weekend. In baseball, the Hutchinson Hawks placed 6th in the Houston Invitational after 3 days of games. Hutch lost 7-5 to Kenai, who would go on to place 4th. Owlson only had 10 players, and it showed as Lathrop romps 55-1. That is a correct score, 55-1. Ouch. The Ravens have decided to play a JV schedule for the rest of the season. In girls soccer, the West Valley Wolfpack shut out the Ravens with a 9-0 victory. Owlson was playing a little shorthanded in that one as well, but the Wolfpack get their second region victory. North Pole Patriots boys soccer team go on an offensive explosion with a 12-0 win over Monroe. Josh Millian and Garrett Woolman both had 2 goals in the win. And there are a number of softball games involving interior high school teams across the state on Saturday. And Lathrop, they're now 4-0 and 3-0 in the Rail Belt after shutting out Palmer 12-0 in Palmer. Freshman Kelly Regan threw a complete game, 4 Ks, allowing 3 hits. She also went 3 for 3 with an RBI. The Duffield sisters added home runs as well. Owlson got a win. How about a 14-13 decision over the Hutchinson Hawks? The Hawks were plagued by 9 errors in that game. North Pole swept the Huskies in Delta. The first game was a 13-3 win. Allison Ramus hit 2 for 3 with a triple. Robin Heineken tossed a complete game with 4 Ks and no walks. In the second game, a 7-2 victory. Jordan Bennett was 3 for 3 for the Patriots, and Casey Ritchie went 2 for 3 with a triple in both games. And West Valley defeated Wasilla 10-5 thanks to a 6-0 first inning. Zon Thompson struck out 9, allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings of work. Kristen Allen added 2 ribbies for the Wolfpack. And lots of great plays coming up, but which one will be the play of the week? Check out today's I-5, the Interior Top 5 Plays. At number 5, we go to the ice to see some beautiful passing. Nick Hens to Brett Gervais down low to Jacob Hetz in the slot, who scores the first goal of the Robertson Cup semifinals. The Ice Dogs would win 3-1 on Friday night. At number 4, Casey Duffield of the Lathrop softball team smacks one over the fence for her 20th career home run. The Mutes beat Alson 16-0 in the season opener. At number 3, more from the Malamutes, this one from the soccer team. Christina Mondelli bending it a bit like Beckham with the goal in Lathrop's 5-0 win over the Ravens. And at number 2, check out the assist from Colton Walter. The nice dish, leaving the puck on a platter for Brett Gervais for the goal in Game 2 of the Robertson Cup semifinals. And at number 1, Kevin Aldridge gets his 3rd shutout of the postseason as the Ice Dogs shut out the Michigan Warriors 3-0, sweeping the Robertson Cup semifinals and advancing to the championship series. To pick the Play of the Week, comment on the post on the KTVF Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages, or email Joe Cook at KTVF11.com and tell us the Play of the Week. The Play of the Week will be revealed this Friday.
The I-5 Sports Report is brought to you by Adient Orthopedic Physical Therapy.
And we'll have a story on the UAF Athletic Awards in tomorrow's Sportscast. But that's it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again looking at weather. And boy, we had a little surprise from Mother Nature this morning. Some areas reporting some light snow. It's all gone now, but of course that was a nice little interesting surprise to wake up to. As because a little pocket of cold air moved over us, and we're looking at showers to continue off and on for the next couple of days, but no more snow in the forecast. Nice photograph tonight. This one's sent in by Nancy Hummel. She and her husband were driving up the Alaska Highway, and they were able to capture moose and swans together. There's the swans right there, and about 6 moose there. Nice photograph. And as always, if you have a photograph to share, by all means, send it to photos at KTVF11.com. Your numbers look like this. A normal high 56, normal low 33. Today's high was 49, and last night's low 39. The record high 70 in 1960. Record low 11 in 1945. 17 hours and 39 minutes of daylight, a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. Our satellite radar showing the area of moisture moving across the Fairbanks area earlier and then retreating back to the northwest. That's we're looking at things to get a little bit less opportunity for any more shower activity. And as far as what's going on across the rest of the state, well, we have a little bit of rain falling around Kodiak Island and Cold Bay. Otherwise, clear to partly cloudy skies over southeast Alaska. Sunshine around the Bethel area. Kind of chilly at Nome, 29 degrees there, 27 at Barrow, and 46 degrees in Fort Yukon as we're into a little bit more cooler regime. Lower 48 weather, a little more shower activity moving in from the western half of the country. That's expected to not really develop into anything major, and some more showers across the Great Lakes too. And the overall outlook for later on this week is calling for some scattered showers over the northwest, a little bit of opportunity for thunderstorms across the central and southern plains and across the Great Lakes. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. Cloudy and cool at Barrow. Snow showers in Nome and mostly cloudy skies for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at cloudy skies, a little shower activity mainly around the Healy area. Otherwise, temperatures right around 60 degrees. Over southeast Alaska, mostly sunny skies for Ketchikan and just partly cloudy at Juneau. Well, out to the southwest, we're looking at cloudy skies in Bethel. Rain is likely for Cold Bay. And rain is a good possibility at Kodiak Island also. Over south central regions, cloudy skies, a chance of rain for Homer, Anchorage, and Valdez. Okay, a new week. Once again, time for some new kids to talk to this week. We went to Ticklesook Brown Elementary School, and here's a young lady with an interesting story.
One day this winter, it was super cold. Snow was everywhere. It was also super windy. Brr. Trees were dancing with the wind. One got tired of dancing and fell. Me and my sister went out in that scary storm and saw that tree lying on our fence. It broke the fence. It was especially scary because I'm in Alaska where it's super cold here.
To say she's animated is an understatement. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank, and tomorrow night a young man will be here sharing a picture of spring. And once again, our Tanana Valley Clinic folks are telling us, as we said earlier, the trees are at very high levels. Otherwise, weeds, mold, and grass are right down at low levels, so that's kind of good. And as far as our forecast, 35 for the overnight low, cooler with the cloudy skies, isolated showers. Tomorrow's forecast, again, calling for continued cloudy skies, about a 40% chance of some shower activity, 60 degrees. And the extended forecast moves the showers out by Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're looking at mainly just cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Looks good for cleanup day and all the other activities going on, and there are a lot of them happening Saturday. And we're also looking at temperatures, once again, starting to rebound a little bit. As you can see, we're looking at high temperatures in the low to mid 60s by the weekend.
Good all the way around.
Yeah, it looks better, a lot
Absolutely.
better. A little surprised this morning seeing some snowflakes out there.
Oh, absolutely. It was snowing, but like you said, it didn't stick.
Right.
That's right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Mike. And that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams is coming up next.
Join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime. Our website is webcenter11.com.
All right, Mike, and you wanted to introduce our credit video tonight?
Yeah, we had an incredible showing by the
Absolutely
community
incredible.
Saturday, and the great procession they had coming from the airport with the troopers. And we're going to leave you with that tonight, and hope to see you back here at 11.